Hey Jim, how you doing today?
Doing great, Gib. It's a pleasure to be here with you. It's been a long time and be here with Genesis Business Advisors, man. I'm really
Well,
stoked. Thanks for the invite.
well, thank you. I'm really appreciative of you joining and spending some of your time to talk with me today about cybersecurity. Obviously, October, well, maybe obvious to us, but not to others that'll be listening to this. But October is Cybersecurity Month, so I really wanted to highlight some of the things going on in the world today, in the marketplace, and talk a little bit about what is cybersecurity for those who are not really aware. What does that mean? I think it's got such a broad definition to different people, and some people think of it, well, that has to do with the Fortune 500s. I don't need to worry about it. So that's why I wanted to bring you in, and we can talk a little bit about this and keep it real and keep it fun. So without further ado, let's hear a little bit about what you do. I know you've got quite a history. You've been on a number of different webcasts and written articles for different magazines, Authority Magazine. You've done work with Tech Radar, CIO Dive, Cybersecurity Drive, MSN, Security Magazine. You got a whole list. I mean, it's impressive of all the different articles and webcasts you've done. If you could share a little on your background, just so people know who they're dealing with here, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So I've been in the industry about 25 years. First half of that was lucky. I'd start off doing networking. Got into security, actually true story, when it was Christmas and my son and myself, I don't know who was more excited, went to play Xbox and connect to Xbox Live and we couldn't connect. And I was like, man, this stinks, and found out it was a DDoS attack. So kind of moved into security. So been in security about 15 years. Helped a couple of organizations roll out managed stock offerings. Worked for one of the larger MDR, XDR providers and incident response, and then had the pleasure of building the security practice at a big master agent. And now I'm getting ready to accept a job. I won't say it now, but do independent consulting and love the security space. And for example, here to talk to you, and really, I love Gib, how you talk about small businesses. There's a big misnomer that they are not targets, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. I think in the episode.
Yeah, we'll get around to that. That's for sure. So let's have a little fun and start off with a kind of a little 30-second speed round. Coffee, tea, or neither?
Let's see. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. Let's see if that gives you.
I'm guessing
And,
coffee. We're going with on
yeah,
that
yes,
one. How
coffee.
about
But I
books?
will.
Oh, go
Oh no,
ahead.
I will say I covered Europe for several years, and I was over there 6 months out of the year. And I started drinking tea. I won't do my horrible British accent, but coffee, go to. Definitely
Coffee.
coffee.
All right. Good. Books or movies?
Oh, that's a tough one. That is really a tough. I'd say it's even, man. I typically read the book first, then I'll watch the movie. But man, there's some great movies out there. So I'd say even, man. I like them both.
Even. All right. Um, favorite or sports we're going into now? Professional or college? I
Ooh,
think I know this one,
um,
but I'm just checking in.
yeah, college football, man. I love college football, and it pains me to say because I went to East Carolina and I got accepted to grad school at Carolina, go Tar Heels. But my daughter goes to NC State, so I had to learn the little wolf pack. So college football, absolutely love college football.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Enough of the fun. Let's cut to the chase. So cybersecurity is such a broad statement, I think, or broad word that covers so many areas. We hear about it all the time in the media, or at least those of us in the industry certainly do. And I expect folks who are not super keen on what it all is, but let's make sure we all have a common definition. Tell me, give me a definition of what is cybersecurity, what is cybercrime, what does that mean to people?
So great question, man. And you're right, it is very loosely termed, but in the simplest form, it really is procedures and policies and your security posture in place to protect the threat actors from getting and stealing your intellectual property rights. And mainly the main thing they go after is credentials and data. So that's pretty much the definition of cybersecurity.
Beautiful. Thank you. Now, for these people you refer to that are going after this information, who are they? Who are the villains? What do they look like? Are they the big creepy dude that you always see portrayed with the hoodie on and in a dark room? Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
There we
that
go.
guy. It's
That
got a
guy.
computer screen, and is that who we're worried about? Who is it? Who are launching these attacks?
So that's a great question. And there's really three, I could say four main categories. First, we always got to be cognizant of insider threat, right? Disgruntled employees. That happens a lot. Second is really threat actors, or your threat actors are nation states, right? Those are like China, North Korea, Iran, excuse me, that really go after not really the business side of the monetary, but more of disruption of democracy or get government intellectual property rights, right? We noticed the recent Colonial Pipeline that was from some Russian sponsored hackers. And then we have really your crime, right? Your I'm having a brain fart here, Gib, your organized crime. And what I tell people really is it's the 21st century hostage, right? And it's a business. So don't be fooled. They run it like a business and it's solely after money. I think I read somewhere ransomware is going to be a $6 trillion a year industry by 2023. So those are your three. And then you have some, you probably heard of this recently, organization called Anonymous. So they really do geopolitical stuff, right? So they're attacking Russia due to the Ukraine stuff, or if they don't like a big corporation such as Microsoft, they were responsible for the bringing down Xbox Live when that happened several years ago. So it's really insider threat. Your nation states, Russia, Korea, North Korea, your organized crime, and then your geopolitical organizations such as Anonymous.
Gotcha. Now, with all the types of attacks that are out there, and maybe you want to rattle through some of this, but what's the most prevalent type of attack that people are seeing today?
That is a great question, man. Malware still stays the number one attack by cyber criminals, and that's evolved into ransomware, which is the most profitable version of malware. So it's still the number one. We do see a rise in DDoS attacks. That used to not be a big word, distributed denial of service, right? Think of it as filling a garden hose up or filling your pipe up with bandwidth. And we're seeing a rise of that due to digital acceleration, due to organizations moving their voice to hosted voice, right? Moving their applications into the cloud. So now that internet connectivity that they have at their location is carrying much more critical access to data, right? That was used to be in their prem is now up in the cloud. So I'd still say malware is the number one. And we see the rise of DDoS, and you have your various other ones that are still in the mix, cross scripting attacks and so forth. But malware is definitely the number one, and probably will remain that way for a long time.
Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about the ransomware, because we're hearing that a lot nowadays through the media, et cetera, all these ransomware attacks. I think probably everybody by this point, if you've been in business, has had a friend that's maybe, or somebody known somebody that's known somebody that's been hit with a ransomware attack. Let's talk about that a little more. Define that. What is it? How does it come to be? Why does it happen? Let's touch on that a little deeper.
Yeah, and I may throw up a couple quick slides here just to give it for a little bit of reference here, Gib. But ransomware is a form of malware, right? And basically what it is it takes your data and it encrypts it. So that's the bottom line. They hold your data hostage. And what do they want? They want money to get your data back, right? I'll give you the encryption key and you pay me in cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency is one of the things that has also increased the rise of malware because it gives a very untraceable or very hard traceable method of payment, right? So most all ransomware payments are done via ransomware. I'm going to share something real quick if we can, Gib.
That'd be great.
And just to show a couple of things here real quick, if I can get to it. So I want to show up a couple of statistics here real quick, because you talked about it. Globally, 30,000 websites are hacked daily. 64% of companies worldwide have experienced at least one form of cyber attack. This is a scary statistic. 22 billion breach records. In 2021, Gib, you just talked about ransomware. You see it a lot. Cases grew by 92%. That shows you how it's moving and how it's going to continue to grow. Email is responsible for around 94% of all malware attacks. or
And why
ransomware
is that?
attack.
Explain that a little bit. Go into that. Why is email
Uh,
responsible?
because we humans are the weakest link, right? And it's a way to distribute the malware either via a link or a corrupted or a malicious file. And I'll show you a little bit on the next slide of how that works, right? How that works. It follows a 5-step process. And basically, it enables the threat actor to either install the ransomware payload or to have you go to a malicious infrastructure where you download something, or you go to a malicious site where I can steal credentials and I can start working. The goal really is what we start to see is it used to be, I'm going to encrypt your data as quick as I can. But what we're starting to see is they don't do it right away. They become what's called an advanced persistent threat. They want to sit on that infrastructure. I think I read something recently, the dwell time, and the dwell time is how long malware or ransomware sits on an infrastructure before an organization knows it's there. And that averages between 1 to 6 months and pushing more to the 6-month mark. So they're in that organization's infrastructure, working east-west and getting more data and getting more user credentials to or intellectual property rights. And then they'll go encrypt your data for the money. So every 39 seconds, there's a new attack somewhere on the web. That's crazy. And there's 24,000 malicious mobile apps that are blocked daily on the internet. Daily, 24,000 malicious apps where they use that. Now, you talked a little bit about the ransomware. How's it work, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully you can see this okay. So
Yep.
here's your typical way ransomware works. So it's an infection vector, right? Or an attack vector is what they call it. Today, the most prevalent are email. Because why? We use it. Think of us now working from anywhere, Gib. Think of us, more relaxed in home environments. Maybe working on a BYOD device that maybe the company didn't have enough to sign all these laptops or devices, or we're on a smartphone, or we're on our iPad or tablet. That's so most of it, that infection vector is going to be the email or a device that we use commonly. We're starting to see a rise on social media, right? Because that's the millennial form of getting news. We use social media daily, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook. And we also start to see a rise of, believe it or not, that cell phone. Everybody's moving to that hosted voice because most companies are not deploying IP phones. They're going to say, hey, I'm going to install you a soft phone on your laptop. So there we go. They can not only just call you on that, but they can send a text. So that's one of the main reasons. And how does all this work, right? How does ransomware work? Whether it's a web-based infection or an email-based infection, it follows the same flow. You click on the advertising or the malicious link, it goes out to a malicious infrastructure, a web page. It downloads that ransomware payload, and then it communicates out. It's very materialistic based, right? It communicates out to a command and control. It says, hey, I need to get the encryption key. So it does an asymmetrical key, and then it uses that key to encrypt your files. And you don't have that key, so your files are now not accessible. Then the same thing on an email, right? You just skip the link and it downloads via that malicious attachment the ransomware payload and follows the same process. So it's a pretty straightforward process, and about 99% of malware or ransomware follows this method.
And so there's like a variety of ways to prevent against that or protect against that, of course. And I know with some of my clients that I've worked with, they're like, well, you know what, I'm good. I'm fine. Because I always, when I'm talking to my clients, I'm like, what are you doing from a cybersecurity standpoint? How are you handling that? What is your posture? And what I'll hear sometimes is, well, I got a firewall and I got some virus software. I'm good. What's your take on that? Are they really good? Is it safe in today's environment? I know in the old days you used to be safe, but there's a lot of new stuff out there, right? There's a lot of new attacks out there that didn't exist 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, but I can't tell you how many times I hear the same thing you just said from your customers. I got antivirus, I got cyber insurance, I'm good. Well, there's a couple factors to that, right? When you look at antivirus, there's two pieces to it. There's protection. That's what antivirus does. It looks at known malware and it blocks it, doesn't allow it to work. But then you have zero-day threat. So you also need antivirus, but you need endpoint detection and response software. That's hey, I'm going to look and see if there's malicious or nefarious behavior happening. It knows that. It also can do user entity and behavioral analytics. So it can know, hey, Gib logs on, he checks his email, he does this, does Superman in the middle. I see Gib log in North Carolina up in Raleigh. Oh my God, an hour later, he logged in in Uzbekistan. I'm going to flag that and alert to that, right? So no, you are absolutely not safe with antivirus. And why? And one of the main reasons ransomware is getting so popular is because that cyber insurance crutch. Well, here's the thing. This is the big kicker. Cyber insurance companies are going to start mandating what I call, or not what I call, but a defense in depth or layered approach to security. Antivirus is not enough. You know, you have to, I tell customers all the time, the human element of this, you need to incorporate end user awareness and phishing simulation in your culture. That's not send a phishing email, the same phishing email to everybody. It's on the onboarding process, incorporated into the culture of your company. That's how important it is. Because if I never click it, if I never click on the cat video, it never goes anywhere. But I still got to have different defenses, right? It's kind of like your home. I think, Gib, you told me this one time, was a great scenario. You've got access code, you got sensors on your windows, you've got cameras inside, you got cameras outside. Why? Because the robbers are going to get around those pieces, right? Same thing here. Organizations, your family is in a corporation is that data, right? So you need to have, hey, if my user clicks this, I'm going to try to stop it. But if I can't stop it, I need to detect it and isolate it quickly, right? That's the EDR. Then you got to have that XDR, that MDR, managed detection response. I got to see all of this happening. I can't stop anything I can't see, right? And most of the time, organizations have one person watching all that, installing laptops and building laptops. You got to outsource that, right? Have a SOC or a security operations center look at those events coming out. And then beyond that, you got to have vulnerability. I got to know what's going on. So you got to have these different layers. And fortunately, it doesn't matter the size of your organization. I don't care if you're 10 people. I don't care if you're a big organization such as Microsoft. The threat actors don't care. Here's the deal. You may not have intellectual property, right? You may not have tons of customer PII, personal identifying information, but you have data that makes your business run. And that's a cost to your business, no matter the size. And the average small business that suffers a ransomware, 70% of those businesses never come back up. So the reality of it is, I wish I could say, hey, you're a small guy, you make duct tape. They don't care about you, but they care. Again, just like you as a business, you want a big target audience. The threat actors are a business and they want the same thing. They don't care who you are, what you do, what vertical you're in. They're going to come after you because you're money to them.
And from what what I've seen and learned in my studies, it's the small business is actually an easier target because they don't protect themselves, right? The major corporation, yeah, it's the big hit. It's the whale, and for those in sales, it's like you're going for the whale, but those are hard to get. So, hey, go after the small quote unquote sale because that's all it is, right? It's a sale because it's money. They're trying to get the money, and it's easier to hit the 1 and 2 person shop that's completely unprotected, like the criminal that runs around outside and pulls on door handles, right, in cars and grabs the easy cash out of the car. They're not trying to steal the Mercedes Benz as much as they are just trying to open up, grab some pocket change. It's quick, easy hit, right? And is that a fair assessment?
I think you're spot on, Gib. I think I've said this before, and I think every salesperson I've worked with cringes when I say this. Threat actors are like salespeople. They go, "What, Tim? Come on." No, they're not. Well, yeah, they are. You said it yourself. We all want the big whale, but 80% of a salesperson revenue is off the little accounts, and lots of them. Same thing. Think of threat actors and think of that. Again, what did I tell you? It's organized crime is one of those vectors, and they have the largest vector for ransomware because it's all about money, right? If I can get 100 little guys and spend half the effort, because exactly like you said, most small to medium-sized businesses have just antivirus and are relying on that cyber insurance crutch. Well, that crutch is being yanked out and your antivirus is out of date and you got one guy doing your IT. So you got to have those layers. And again, 70% of small to medium-sized businesses that suffer ransomware never make it back up. So, hey, you are spot on, Gib. 100%. I can't stress that enough. I talk about this a lot. Small to medium-sized businesses think they're not a target. That is the biggest misnomer out there today. they will come after you. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, not a matter of if, but when. So to wrap this up, what do these small to medium-sized businesses do? Like, hey, gee, they don't have a budget for that. How do they afford this? It must cost fortune. Is kind of, I think, in a lot of mindsets. I just can't afford to protect my business. A lot of times, I'm telling them, you can't afford not to. I mean, it's a matter of staying in business or not. Somebody hits you with where the ransomware attack. Usually, they've done their homework. Quite often, they have, and they know what your breaking point is. They're going to put that ransom just at the point of not wiping you out entirely, because if it does, right, you won't pay the ransom, because it's like, well, if I pay this ransom, I got a business anyways. So they'll put it right in that sweet spot that it's just enough, but it's enough to do some significant damage. But can they afford, do you take the gamble and say, well, I can't afford the type of security you're talking about? Is that affordable for the average user?
Um, Yeah, so here you go, Deb. You know, first of all, if you're in the Raleigh, Durham area, wherever you are, you should go consult with somebody like Genesis Business Advisors. First of all, you have a lot of contacts. You know, a lot of the vendors out there that can provide these type of solutions to your small, medium size. And historically, it's been a neglected space. But Deb, I've worked with you, and you know a lot of these vendors out there. Might do some, Corvids or Silver Screen. They come in there and have these defense in depth approach where they include end user awareness and phishing. They include MDR, XDR. They include vulnerability management. They include all that at a per user rate that's very attractable, right? It's very attractive to these small businesses. Let's say, between $15 to $40 per user. And that is worth it in the long run, because again, here's the problem. You're going to be mandated. Cyber insurances are not going to insure you. They've already started with multi-factor authentication. That's a requirement now for cyber insurance. And they're going to start mandating more and more things. EDR, MDR, vulnerability management, all of those pieces, right, are going to be there, or they're not going to insure you. And I don't know many small and medium-sized businesses that can insure themselves in this day and time, right?
Right.
So, reach out to the people that know it. Deb, you've been doing this for a long time. You know a lot of the great companies out there. I've worked with you for several years, and that's the first step. Reach out to somebody like you, a trusted advisor that is there truly to make their business better and plug those holes in their security posture. And you're a great company to do that. So that's my first suggestion. And yes, there are very affordable solutions out there that not only can be managed and outsources, but remain control for you and provide you all the pieces. Even SASE, right? Secure Service Edge. We didn't really talk about that. There are companies out there that provide it for the SMB space at a very attractive cost. But first, reach out to somebody like you. That's the first step, and you'll guide them through that journey.
Yes, we will. So thank you, Jim. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for your expertise, your knowledge, and most importantly, your friendship.
Hey,
uh,
dude, I'm right there with you, Geb. You're awesome, man. And anytime, I love doing this with you. You're an awesome guy. And hey, remember, reach out to Genesis Business Fires. Really, I can't tell you, you can't pick a better guy. He'll guide you in the right direction. So I really enjoyed it, Geb. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Jim. Thanks. Let's do this again sometime.
You got it, buddy. Take care, man.
Take care, my friend. Bye
Cheers.
now.